Hey, what's up, everybody? I saw this short, sweet video titled, "How Are You Judged by Your Looks?" I want to share this video. It's only about a little over 6 minutes long. And I'm going to come back and give my commentary and point of view as it relates to this subject matter, because in this day and age, looks matter now more than ever. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be that way, but it is what it is. I'll talk to you after this.
Hello, my name is Jenny.
I'm Carter.
Hey, I'm Bajoro.
And what did you do today?
I got rated on my attractiveness.
And how'd you do?
All around, it seemed like I got on the lower end of the meter.
Oh, whoa.
Man, you getting like a 1 from me, big dog.
5, just not my cup of tea.
What was your experience?
I mean, it was pretty shocking in the sense that, I just assumed that I was going to get rated higher.
Like one night stand material.
Oh, okay.
5.
What?
Sorry.
Studs usually aren't my type.
She's a little more manly, and that's not typically what I'm attracted to. 3 for me.
I like to think of myself as a very attractive person. So, but, everybody has their own preference.
What was the biggest surprise today?
I think Madison was probably the most critical.
5.
All right. What am I lacking?
Your face is a little weird.
Why is it so weird?
I don't know. It's just long.
No. If it did, then I would continue having longer hair. I've done many times in the past, just researched on Google, what's a good haircut for guys with longer faces? And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna own it and go with my shorter hair.
Have you always looked like this? Have I always looked like this? Yeah, like the person you look at. No.
Nice. Can I?
Go for it.
Are they real?
No.
Yeah, I'm going 10 right now. She's slim, but she's really voluptuous. You feel me in certain areas.
I ended up getting married right after high school, and my husband made me feel very insecure. He tried to keep me from dressing super nice, and if I spent too much time on my makeup, he would ask me who I was doing that for and why, and so I just never really did anything with myself until I left him. How often do you judge people by their looks?
I believe that first impressions make a very big difference in how you treat people. I do have kind of those initial judgments, but then I try not to judge someone's character and who they are because of that impression.
Do you feel like you get judged often for your looks?
Well, yes. And the gay community is pretty critical, in my opinion, both race and just by your looks and your body type. I was told that I was attractive, but they don't date Asians.
How did that affect you?
It put me in dark places when I was younger, but to this day, I've gotten a lot of growth from those times, and I'm not too bothered by it anymore. It is what it is.
What beauty standards do you think you don't fit in our culture?
Most of the time, it's tall white people usually.
What the hell? It's a 10.
You're a 10, sir.
Nice.
You are a 10.
Have you always felt attractive?
Yeah. I mean, I know what's going on. I'm pretty self-aware of how people look and how I look in comparison to those people, and it's not like a surprise. People who are actually doing the judging, I could tell, oh, they are not comfortable doing this. I felt bad for them more than anybody being judged.
I think people have a really hard time with fat people. They just don't know what to do with them. Society just shits on them all the time. Everyone hates fat people.
How'd you do?
I did worse than I thought I was going to.
Physically, you're not as fit as I would prefer personally. You evened out at around a 6.
Okay.
5.
When I was younger, I never thought that there was ever a chance I could ever be attractive. I didn't think anyone would ever like me, and that the first thing that they saw when they saw me was that I was a fat person, and that's all they would ever see, But it took a long time, for me to change that thinking in myself. And now I try as hard as I can to do everything the opposite of what society wants me to do, because that makes me feel really powerful.
Definitely there's some beauty standards and some things that most people would think that they're attracted to. Fitter bodies, lighter skin, lighter eyes, lighter features, high cheekbones, kind of like that modelly look.
Is there anything wrong with liking those beauty standards?
I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. I just think it creates a very homogeneous culture. Beauty is something that depends on everybody. It's something subjective, and it depends on the eye of the beholder. So I feel that having certain standards really just make us more boring as people.
Tell me about Jim.
You get a 9 from me. Like I said, I like voluptuous women, and that's what you got going on. Yeah, Carter 5.
Another issue with bigger people is that sometimes they're, fetishized, you know? I didn't feel that way at all. I felt really flattered by everything that he said. He was very respectful. I had a good time with him, but I definitely think that I got a really high score because of my body type and not really anything else, you know?
Do you recommend hearing unfiltered opinions about your appearance?
Yeah, I really think so. Because, I mean, I expected a lot of the comments to be really good today, and it really gave me a new perspective to hear some of the negative things that people had to say about me. And I think that everyone should have that experience because then it helps them grow as a person.
A lot of people may feel like it's a sensitive subject to talk about how attractive a person is because of social standards and what beauty means to, individuals.
I mean, I've heard a lot of different opinions today about beauty, and I thought that none of them were necessarily wrong. They were just all different.
It's okay for us to judge other people.
I mean, yeah, we do it every day.
They say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And to a certain degree, this is true. But what becomes of the beholder who has been indoctrinated with a certain standard of beauty? In this day and age of social media with apps, with filters, and people getting plastic surgery now more than ever, things to make your skin look the very best, it's more accessible and affordable than ever, hair products, makeup. We now see that we are creating a culture of fake beauty to meet an unrealistic standard of beauty. It's just really gone to a whole nother level. So yeah, when we look at people, we judge based on what our preference is, but how many of us stop and question how much of our preference is truly of our own design? Especially when we look at colorism, which is a whole nother social issue. Colorism within the black community, whereby light skin is generally automatically seen as very attractive and beautiful. And then the general populace, again with the European standard of beauty, fairer skin is seen as more attractive. So now, if we find ourselves with a preference of fair skin, we have to stop and ask ourselves, is this truly something that we want for ourselves, or is this something we have been brainwashed into believing? I happen to find all ranges of shades beautiful. I can see beauty in everything and everybody. I don't really necessarily have a preference. I can only define what is attractive to me on a case-by-case basis. But here's the thing, and what's different with me is that how beautiful a person may appear will get my attention. But if that person does not have beauty in their heart and in their mind, if they're not mentally stimulating me, I'm not going to find that person attractive anymore. It literally just shuts off. And this has happened to me on multiple occasions. I've come across people that immediately grab my attention based on a physical beauty or physical attraction. But after sitting down and speaking with them and having a conversation, it went dead really quickly. And then it had happened on the opposite end of the spectrum. I have come across people who weren't necessarily what I would find attractive or appealing, but I would speak to them and find that they had a great heart, a beautiful mind, a beautiful soul, and I became very attracted to that person. But in this day and age where we have fast food-like standards of beauty, we have microwave beauty. How many of us are in relationships because we are really connecting with the core of the person and not what they look like. I would like to start a new phrase, which the tall Caucasian guy in this video said. He was very clear that him being tall, fair, and Caucasian and fairly attractive would open doors. So when we talk about privilege in the world, regardless of one's racial background, ethnicity, or whatever, I think we can fairly agree that when we look at social media, the movies, those who have a certain height and look a certain kind of way have privileges. They have doors that open up to them without doing little to no work. Some of the most famous, most popular people in the media got there because of how they look. Let's just be real about it. Some of the most popular YouTubers have large followings because they look a certain kind of way. We've worked with people who have moved up the ranks, often very incompetent, but they got to where they are because they look a certain kind of way. So naturally, those of us who are average, below average in the look department, we have to work 10 times as hard to get a fraction of the attention and opportunity that people who have aesthetic privilege. That's the word, aesthetic privilege, meaning when one who is aesthetically pleasing based on the popular narrative or European standards, life tend to be much easier. But here's the downside to that. We all eventually get older and those looks fade, and we will find that people who tend to be the most attractive or who are riding the aesthetic privilege bandwagon when they're young tend to age a lot more quickly and often a lot worse than everyone else. We average looking people or below average people still have somewhere that we can grow. We can improve upon where we are, but these people tend to go down and go down really, really fast. And so when one spends a great deal of their life depending on their aesthetic privilege and not building character, intelligence, wisdom, real deep, meaningful relations, they pay for it later on in life. And here's why, unfortunately, you will find a lot of people who grow the aesthetic privilege in their youthful years tend to have it very, very difficult later in life. So there are pros and cons on both spectrum, but when it's all said and done, I would love to see more of us being okay with what we are normally attracted to. There's nothing wrong with a preference, but more of us need to start pushing beyond the superficial and start getting to the heart and soul of a person. And here is where we will begin to see more long-lasting, meaningful relationships flourish more than ever.